On paper, the economy is fine. Unemployment's 4.2%, low by any historical standard. Payrolls are still growing. The market's near record highs. So why does every graduate you know have a degree, a stack of dead applications, and not a single reply? Because every month there's a new headline. AI is killing the jobs. 16,000 a month gone. So go look at the overall unemployment rate. The number that would scream if this were real. It doesn't move. And the slice economists actually pin on AI? About 0.1%, a rounding error. Which is the most dangerous kind of lie. The kind that's technically true because that flat little line isn't one line at all. It's two. Splitting apart. Economists have a name for that shape. A K. One arm climbing, one arm collapsing. And in 2026, your age decides which arm you're on. For the first time on record, fresh graduates have higher unemployment than the average worker, the widest gap anyone has ever measured, and it's pointing the wrong way. And if that's you, application after application, no rejection, just silence. Hear this. It isn't you. You did everything right. Something underneath you just disappeared. And here's the cruel part. The economy is hiring. Bars, kitchens, hospitals, warehouses, all the work a machine can't do yet. Just not the desk job you spent 4 years in a mountain of debt training for. Because this was never about losing the job you have. It's about never getting the first one. And the people doing this, they think they're being smart. They're not. They're quietly soaring through the rung they're standing on too. And by the end of this, you'll see the exact moment it will snap. But let's start where the jobs actually are. Because this is what's holding the whole illusion up. The US economy added jobs, and roughly 8% of them came from just 3 places: restaurants and bars, healthcare, and local government. The work a machine can't do yet. That's the top arm of the K, the AI-proof floor, and it's holding the headline up single-handedly. But spend 4 years training for the part that's vanishing, and the economy of added jobs means nothing to you. Because here's the part that the unemployment rate hides completely. The grads aren't all jobless. Most of something stats barely register, underemployed. More than 40% of recent graduates are working jobs that never needed their degree. A law grad pulling pints, a computer science grad driving deliveries. The system counts that as employed and moves on. Now split the same picture by age and the K snaps into focus. Stanford's Digital Economy Lab tracked Payrolls records of millions of workers. Workers aged 22 to 25 in the jobs most exposed to AI saw their employment fall 16% relative to everyone else. For young software developers specifically, it's down around 20% since the 2022 peak. Now look at who's sitting next to them. Same job, same desk, same company. The older worker beside them didn't fall at all. Some are still climbing. The 23-year-old gets cut. The older worker, doing the identical work, does not. Read that again. A separate Harvard study read 65 million workers across more than 280,000 firms. Same fingerprint. Within about a year and a half of a company adopting AI, junior headcount drops around 9%. Senior headcount, flat, sometimes growing. This is the first technology in history that didn't start at the bottom. It started at the top. Machines replaced muscle. Computers replaced routine clerks. Every wave before this one ate the lowest rung first. This one climbed the ladder, and it's walking down toward the college-educated, the white-collar, the entry-level knowledge worker. Economists have a clinical name for it: Seniority-Biased Technological Change. In plain English, the more junior you are, the worse it gets. To understand why, you have to understand how a law firm, a consultancy, or a software team actually makes money. It's a pyramid. A few expensive seniors at the top, a wide base of cheap juniors at the bottom, grinding through the high-volume work, drafting documents, writing boilerplate code, summarizing case law, building the slide deck nobody wants to build. That grunt work is the entire entry-level job, and it is precisely, almost surgically, what generative AI does as well. So a manager runs the obvious math. If one senior plus AI can do what used to take a senior and 5 juniors, why hire the juniors? Remember that silence, the applications that vanished without a single reply. This is the machinery behind it. Watch what's happening to the door you're knocking on. They're not hiring them. Depending on whose data you trust, US entry-level tech postings have dropped by a quarter in a single year. And the share of new tech hires who are fresh graduates has roughly halved over 5 years. In the UK, the big accounting firms slashed graduate intake. KPMG alone cut it 29%. Junior developer is quietly disappearing as a job title. Entry-level listings now demand 3 to 5 years experience. Entry-level, requiring experience you can only get from an entry-level job that no longer exists. That's not a hiring bar. It's a locked door with a now hiring sign on it. And the people doing the hiring will tell you exactly what they're thinking. In a 2026 survey of 1,000 hiring managers, 48% say they'd rather invest in AI than hire and train a recent graduate. 55% had already moved entry-level budget into AI tools. And McKinsey isn't being subtle about where this goes. They've deployed 25,000 AI agents alongside their 40,000 people. And they've said their goal is to get those numbers roughly 1-to-1. The bottom rung isn't getting hard to reach. It's being deleted underneath you in real time. Here's what the managers running this math can't see on their spreadsheet. The junior grind was never just cheap labor. It was the factory that builds the seniors. The only factory there is. Think about how you actually got good at anything. Not from a lecture, from reps, from doing the boring things 1,000 times. When a young lawyer drafts their 100th contract, they're not just billing hours, they're absorbing judgment, instinct, the unwritten rules. Automate that away, and you get what researchers call the hollow expert. You hand the new hire the AI's output and say, just check it. But checking work is a completely different skill from doing it. You can't catch a mistake in something you never learned to build. And there will be mistakes on the tiny, narrow benchmarks the labs love to publish. Today's best AI looks like it's already arrived. But don't take my word for it. Here's someone who's actually seen the internal numbers.
There was an internal Salesforce research paper that came out that said the agents fail, I think 52%, they only succeed 52% of the time on single step things, like single step tasks. So I ask the agent to do something and then it does something. And they only succeed 32% of the time on multi-step. So that means ask agent to do something, agent books an appointment.
And when researchers turned it loose on 240 real paid freelance projects start to finish, the way actual work arrives, top scoring agent Manus completed 2.5%, which means someone experienced has to catch everything the machine got wrong. But we just stopped training the people who became that somebody. And the reviewer who never did the reps can't catch it. The output looks confident, so they wave it through. Psychologists call that automation bias. A reviewer who can't actually review, that's not a workforce. That's a mistake waiting to happen. On the contrary, there's also another side to this argument. It's called the Jevons paradox. When something gets dramatically cheaper, we don't use less of it, we use way more. Cheaper code could mean 10 times as many software projects. Cheaper legal work could mean small businesses finally affording lawyers. More demand, more jobs, not fewer. And this happened before. The spreadsheet wiped out the job called computer, rooms of people doing arithmetic by hand. Terrifying at the time, accounting then didn't shrink, it exploded. Because suddenly every business could afford to model anything. The tool that killed the entry-level job created a far bigger profession on top of it. And not every firm is cutting. Bain is doing the opposite. Its UK boss said graduate hiring will be 25% higher than last year, because the firm still needs juniors working alongside senior experts to build the judgment and pattern knowledge you can't get any other way. And Cognizant, which runs on entry-level talent, is ramping up campus hiring about 20% to as many as 25,000 fresh grads per year. Betting AI makes juniors useful faster is a reason to hire more of them, not fewer. Some companies are deliberately protecting the pipeline. So this isn't destiny, it's a fork in the road. Some companies are protecting the pipeline, some are destroying it. And here's the problem. If you stop hiring juniors, you stop producing seniors. There's no other supply. The work doesn't disappear, it rolls upwards, onto the seniors you kept, who are now drowning in verification and burning out. And in 10 years, when those seniors retire, the bench behind them is empty. You can't hire experience. That industry stops manufacturing. And that's just the first structural failure threatening companies. There's a second, deeper issue, one affecting individuals. 50 years of economics says the same thing. If you don't get a real start, you never fully catch up. Graduate into a lost year and you could lose anywhere from 5 to 20% of your lifetime earnings. And it can take a decade to call back. We've only ever seen damage like that in recessions. We're now doing it to a generation during a boom. That's why it's so dangerous. It's two silent crises unfolding at the same time. In 2026, they're both invisible. The headline barely twitched. By 2035, one results in a structural shortage of the leaders we'll need. The other is a whole generation that never caught up. So when someone tells you to relax and that AI isn't really taking that many jobs, they're half right, in the most dangerous way possible. It isn't taking the jobs that the seniors have. It's taking the first one, the bottom rung. And a ladder with no bottom rung doesn't just trap the people standing underneath it. Give it 10 years and the whole thing comes down. The robots were never the story. The story is that we're quietly deciding to stop building humans who know what they're doing. And that bill doesn't come due today. It comes due the day we need them. But that bill is theirs. Yours is simpler. This video just told you checkers are built from the juniors who did the reps. Do the reps anyway. The ones everyone else is skipping. Use AI to move 10 times faster. But build enough by hand you can feel when it's lying. Everyone around you will be waving the machine through. Be the one who can't be fooled. In 5 years, that's the rarest hire in the building. So, my message for you is to now go and be rare.